Red and blue lights flashing your rearview mirror. You pull over to the shoulder, put the car in park, and wait. The officer walks up to your window. Everything is normal until he asks one question. Do you have any weapons in the vehicle? And right there, most drivers make a mistake that completely changes the encounter. Not because they have a gun, not because they're breaking the law, but because of what they do next. The officer hasn't decided whether this stop stays routine or becomes something much more serious. And in the next few seconds, your response can influence everything that happens afterward. If you're carrying a gun in your car in Texas, there's one decision point you need to recognize before it happens. One piece of knowledge can change how a situation ends for you. Subscribe now so you're prepared. Then share this video and tell me what you think about it in the comments. Because carrying legally isn't usually what creates problems. The problem is how people react when the officer asks about it. Imagine this. Officer, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? Driver, yeah, I've got my pistol. Officer, where is it? Driver, it's right here. The driver immediately reaches toward the center console. The officer's voice suddenly changes. Stop. Keep your hands where I can see them. Now the encounter feels completely different. The driver was trying to be cooperative. The officer sees someone moving toward a firearm. Those are two very different perspectives. And that's where many people get themselves into trouble. The trap isn't owning the gun. The trap isn't admitting you have the gun. The trap is trying to show the officer where it is. Most people think they're helping. The officer sees movement toward a weapon. During a traffic stop, officers have very limited information. They don't know who's inside the vehicle. They don't know what happened before they arrived. They don't know if a person is nervous, distracted, cooperative, or dangerous. So when they ask about weapons, they're trying to assess risk and determine how they want to proceed. Their concern is safety. And from a safety perspective, sudden movements toward a firearm are always going to get attention. That's why the most important moment of the entire encounter happens immediately after the question is asked. Officer, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? Your brain instantly wants to explain. It wants to point. It wants to show. It wants to reach. That's the decision point. That's the exact moment when routine encounters become complicated. Let's compare two different responses. Officer, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? Driver, yes, it's in the glove box. The driver immediately reaches toward the glove box. The officer reacts. Stop, don't move, keep your hands where I can see them. Now the officer's attention is focused entirely on that movement. Everything changes. Now let's look at a different response. Officer, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? Driver, yes, officer, how would you like me to proceed? That's it. No reaching, no gestures, no demonstrations, no surprises. Just information followed by patience. The officer remains in control of the situation. The stop remains calm and predictable, and everyone understands what's happening next. If you remember only one thing from this video, remember this sentence. Yes, officer, how would you like me to proceed? That's the phrase. Simple, professional, easy to memorize. Let's do it again. Officer, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? You say, yes, officer. How would you like me to proceed? Nothing else. No reaching, no gestures, no demonstrations. Just wait. The officer may ask where the firearm is located. Be brief. It's in the center console. It's on my right hip. It's in a case behind the seat. Then stop talking. Wait for the next instruction. The officer may say, please don't reach for it. You respond, understood. The officer may ask for identification. Provide it only if it can be done safely and according to the officer's instructions. The key principle is simple. Don't make decisions for the officer. Let the officer decide how he wants the stop handled. Another situation happens all the time. Officer, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? Driver, yes, officer. How would you like me to proceed? Officer, where is it located? Driver, inside the center console. Officer, okay, leave it there. And that's the end of the issue. No tension, no confusion, no misunderstanding. The encounter continues normally. Now compare that to someone who immediately reaches towards the same center console before the officer has given any instructions. The firearm didn't change. The law didn't change. The only thing that changed was the driver's behavior. That's why this decision point matters so much. Most people become nervous and start talking too much. Officer, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? Driver, yeah, but I carry all the time and I've never had a problem before, and my uncle is in law enforcement and… Stop. None of that helps. The more words you add, the more opportunities there are for confusion. Keep it simple. Officer, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? Driver, yes, officer. How would you like me to proceed? Clear, professional, direct. Sometimes the officer may ask additional questions. Sometimes he may want you to leave your hands visible. Sometimes he may choose to conduct the stop a little differently because a firearm is present. That's normal. The important thing is that you've avoided creating uncertainty, and uncertainty is often what causes encounters to become tense. Most officers are far less concerned about a legally possessed firearm than they are about unexpected movement toward one. That's why the phrase works. It communicates cooperation without creating unnecessary risk. Under Texas law, many adults who can legally possess firearms may also legally carry handguns without obtaining a license. But this video isn't really about firearm law. It's about handling the encounter correctly. The biggest mistake isn't carrying the gun. The biggest mistake is reacting poorly when the officer asks about it. So let's put everything together. The trap is reaching for the gun or reaching toward the gun. The decision point happens the moment the officer asks whether there are weapons in the vehicle. Most drivers think they should immediately show where the gun is located. That's where problems begin. Instead, remember the phrase, "Yes, officer, how would you like me to proceed?" Repeat it. "Yes, officer, how would you like me to proceed?" One more time. "Yes, officer, how would you like me to proceed?" Short, professional, easy to memorize. Because the smartest drivers aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who recognize the decision point before the officer does.